So nearby Brad. I think these are in frame. You brought over two. It's my favourite. It's Desi D. Are these both for me, or is this one for each?
There's supposed to be one for me.
Oh, okay, so I guess I'll do the trick then. So, let's go. Now I'll open mine with the official Fiend branded bottle opener that no one can buy. Only I'm allowed to have it. I do that like Conan O'Brien bit from The Simpsons, like, only I may dance. Only I may use the officially branded Fiend bottle opener. Which is not official, just a fan made it and never asked. It's like, I think when they handed it to me, I said as a joke, it's like, did you ask my permission to, like, use my logo because I own that? No, I didn't. No, it's fine.
Just take it off. It's fine. Never do it again.
Let's talk about Arnold Schwarzenegger. According to the man himself, early in his career, Arnold Schwarzenegger was told to change his name because no studio would ever put such an unpronounceable mess of letters onto a poster. Imagine their surprise then when just a few years after he was given that advice, a company spent a reported $500,000 painting onto a rocket ship that they then sent into space.
So do we get to talk about Arnold Strong?
We can talk about Arnold Strong. So, if anyone curious, that story there of like Arnold Schwarzenegger being told, your name's too long, no one's going to want to put that on a poster, that is completely accurate. And to make the story even more bizarre, that advice was given to him by Mark Hamill.
Really?
It was Mark Hamill who told him, your name is too long, it's too weird, it's too foreign sounding, you should change it to something more American if you want to be a movie star. And what did he change it to, Brad?
Mark Hamill.
Mark Strong is an actor, and he's a great actor.
Oh, yeah, Arnold Strong.
Arnold Strong, which he was credited for one movie, and that is Hercules of New York, where they dub over all of his dialogue and he beats up a bear.
Because they re-released it years down the line, put his real voice back in.
And put his real name on it.
Yeah.
Which I think goes to show, how wrong all those naysayers were. But the reason I love that movie is when he's fighting the bear. Because Arnold Schwarzenegger is prime. Mr. Universe Arnold Schwarzenegger. I reckon he could beat up a bear. But he hits it like this. It'd be weird if it was just his name that people told him would result in him not being famous. But, Brad, just what are the three most distinct things about Arnold Schwarzenegger? And the first one I'll give you is his name.
Okay.
What are the other two?
The second one I'm guessing is his physique.
His physique, yeah. He was also told that would stop him from being a success because he was told, you are simply too large to be, on screen. No one's going to want to cast you as the hero. You are too large.
And then he kept playing dads in movies.
And even in situations where his physique was a boon, Conan the Barbarian, one of his first major roles. Arnold Schwarzenegger himself has talked about how when he first saw the artwork for Conan the Barbarian, well, that's me. The overly muscled dude with a sword. I can do that.
Yeah.
It still caused problems because there were no stuntmen big enough to pretend to be him, so he had to do his own stunts. And he says, I was pretty big, I'm pretty strong back then, I could take the punishment. I wasn't a trained stuntman. So when you see, Conan falling off those horses getting hit, that's him.
So was this a thing that carried on later in his career?
To a degree, yes. But, after he got famous, what he'd usually do is get his bodybuilding friends to stand in for him. And I think one was Frank Columbo. And he's actually the guy in the first Terminator movie who is, the Terminator cast in shadow. Do you know the T-600 that's cast in shadow, Kyle Reese is running away from? So we've covered two things that, were iconic and inimitable about Mr. Arnold Schwarzenegger. What do you think the third one is?
His voice!
It is, yeah.
I can't do it.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. Everyone can, and yet no one can. Arnold, of course, so right now, Brad, what's your favourite Arnold Schwarzenegger quote in his voice?
Obviously, it's, put that cookie down, now!
That was going to be mine. So I'll just do, the Arnold pain noise. It's just like, Everybody has an Arnold Schwarzenegger impression.
Everybody's tried.
Yes, his voice is so distinct. And he was also told that his voice, his accent, would result in him not being famous. So his name, his body, his voice, he was told outright by, Mark Hamill and his own agent, any one of these would discount you from getting a leading role. All three, you basically box office poison. And then he was the most successful actor for 2 decades straight.
It's take away everything that makes him unique. Just turn him into just generic American Hollywood action star.
And there are a lot of stories like that from Hollywood. For example, the actor Steve Buscemi. So what do you say is like Steve Buscemi's like, most endearing and well-known trait?
He looks a bit funny.
Yeah, and the thing, that's not us saying that. Steve Buscemi himself has said, yeah, I'm a bit funny looking. And he said, like, in interviews, I get offers all the time from dentists, which is a bit rude, saying, we can fix your fucked up teeth. And he's like, they're half the reason I'm famous.
Yeah.
Because, like, if I just look like, generic handsome dude, I wouldn't get roles because there's people who are more handsome. But no one looks like Steve Buscemi. So you get that role. Same like Arnold Schwarzenegger of, like, nobody looks like him. So if you want to cast an Arnold Schwarzenegger type, you basically cast Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah, there's certain actors where it only feels like there's one of them, and every role that needs a person like that. I think Jack Black's a good idea of this.
Yeah.
Like, there's only one Jack Black. There's other people who might be similar to Jack Black, but he's like, you'd cast him if you want a Jack Black role.
Yeah, there's no one else who's going to give you the level of energy that Jack Black gives to a role. One that I always single out is that when he's in King Kong. And if you watch the scene where he gets mad because like his tapes get eaten, if you close your eyes during that scene, it sounds like Poe. And what I would like Lucas to do now when he edits this video is, I want him to either take the sound from King Kong where Jack Black's fighting the bugs with a staff and put it over footage from Kung Fu Panda, or put sound effects from Kung Fu Panda over the scene from King Kong where Jack Black's like beating up insects with a staff.
When there's an actor whose voice is so well known in a particular thing, like Tom Hanks.
Yep.
When you hear Tom Hanks normally, it's not that much Woody. Occasionally, you get a Woody line.
The Woody slips
that's
in,
a Woody line.
And there's a couple of actors that we can talk about who've had similar advice to what Arnold Schwarzenegger got. One is Keanu Reeves. So when Keanu Reeves first started acting, he was told, well, your name, that's a bit weird. And he was like, no, it's not. So people don't know Keanu Reeves is his real name.
Yeah.
And I think it's Hawaiian, and it means something like the cool breeze that flows over a waterfall.
Yeah, it's something about that.
And he was told, that doesn't sound American, to which Keanu Reeves responded, I'm from Hawaii. Like, it's a Hawaiian name, that's American. The fuck are you talking about? And his agent advised him to change his name to, I shit you not, Chuck Spadina. And he was like, fuck that.
Oh, God, Chuck.
Chuck Spadina, yeah. That sounds like the kind of guy who cleans Keanu Reeves' like car out or something. And another actor from a bit closer to home is Peter Postlethwaite, which is a really fun name to say. Postlethwaite, yes. And he was also similarly told, your name is too long. And like, I think the joke that he would tell while he was still alive is, he was told, you'll never see your name in lights because there won't be enough. And he refused to change his name because, same with Arnold Schwarzenegger, even though, it was a bit of a roadblock early in his career, by the end of it, it's so iconic, it sticks in your mind. Like the name Postlethwaite, I guarantee you're going to be in your head the rest of the day going, Postlethwaite. Postlethwaite.
What celebrity do you think has a cool name? Like
Curtis Jackson. 50 Cent, Curtis Jackson. It sounds like such a fucking, it sounds so fucking manly. If anyone's wondering, where do I know that guy from? He's the guy in Alien 3. I think he worships the alien. He's also in Jurassic Park 2. Well, he's Muldoon.
Is he the hunter?
No, so yeah, Muldoon in the second one. Yeah, he's the guy who wants to hunt a T-Rex.
Right.
And Steven Spielberg said Peter Postlethwaite is the best actor I've ever seen.
Remember that chap about 20 years ago? I forget his name. Climbed Everest without any oxygen. Came down nearly dead. And they asked him. They said, "Why did you go up there to die?" He said, "I didn't. I went up there to live."
Yeah, and he was just from Manchester, and he's like, I'm all right. So, bringing it back to Schwarzenegger, he was told, your name, that's too weird. Nobody is going to want to put that on a poster. So you fast forward 10 years after he got told that, and then a company, as mentioned, is spending a not insignificant amount to slap that name on a rocket ship to advertise, of all things, the cinematic turd Last Action Hero.
Hey, you leave it off.
And I'm saying that because the film itself did really poorly at the box office and got really badly reviewed. I like it.
How did it get badly reviewed? It's a great film.
I think it's because it's meta, and people didn't really like meta movies back then.
I guess that might explain why it's better now, because we're more used to the concept.
Yeah, so if people don't know, Last Action Hero was it's an action movie where Arnold Schwarzenegger is making fun of action movies.
Yeah.
And I think it's just a bit ahead of its time.
You want to be a farmer? Here's a couple of acres. Decker, the next one I'll hurt.
like, you know, it was released in like the early 90s, but like, you know, this is around like Terminator and stuff like that. So I think the stuff that they were parodying was still too fresh.
Yeah, I think if people haven't seen it, Arnold Schwarzenegger in the film is Arnold Schwarzenegger, but also plays a character in a film inside that film.
Yeah.
And a kid goes into the film in the film and meets Schwarzenegger's character.
One of the reasons I love the film is because they play with all those like action movie tropes that, you know, Arnold Schwarzenegger himself helped define. For example, like his character comes out of the movie into the real world and a car's driving away. So he pulls his gun out and starts shooting at it. And he's like, that's weird. I've never seen a car not explode when I do that.
Here's another explosion for your movie, kid. Not a word. Not one word.
Likewise, you have Charles Dance, the villain, comes into the real world and just shoots a guy. And he goes, hello? I just shot someone. Does anybody care? And someone goes, no one cares, go home. And you realise, the real world like is not like an action movie.
Sucks.
Yeah, you can just shoot people and get away with it.
Yeah, I think, like, what's his name? What's Schwarzenegger's character's name?
Is Arnold Schwarzenegger.
I think it's Jack something, isn't it?
Should we look it up? Should we like go, what is last action hero?
I reckon it's John something. That
Okay,
feels very action hero.
guess. What's his name?
All right, let's go with John. I'll say John Matrix, but that's a different film.
No, that's Commando.
Oh. Give me the first name.
Jack.
Oh, I was right with Jack then. Jack Spectre.
Slater. You were close. You were close.
Yeah.
So so Jack Slater is like it's a deconstruction of the action movie genre, and there's a couple of like really neat Easter eggs in there for action movie buffs. Like for example, when the kid is trying to convince Jack Slater, you're a character in a movie played by an actor called Arnold Schwarzenegger. Where's the nearest movie like a rental place? And they go to Blockbuster. And they even have a neat little nod to those people who said Arnold Schwarzenegger's name was too weird for him to be a leading man, where he goes into the Blockbuster equivalent of their universe and asks, where are your Schwarzenegger movies? Like, check the foreign section out back. So obviously she just thinks like, well, who's Arnold Schwarzenegger? And they go up and they see a picture of like Terminator 2, and it's Sylvester Stallone.
No, it isn't possible.
Which Sylvester Stallone did agree to do. Like he said, you can use my likeness if you want. It's pretty funny.
Oh man, I'd love it if they'd put a trailer in and they'd reshot the Terminator trailer with Stallone. That would have been great.
Stallone probably would have done it. Like, they had a very friendly rivalry for many years. But I love it when they go in. And some of the other bits that I love is that the kid is like, you're in a movie. And it's like, no, I'm not. And it's like, well, look at that lady over there. She's way too hot to work in a video store. It's like a fucking supermodel. And it's like, no, this is LA. Everyone looks like that in LA.
What about this girl right here? She is way too attractive to be working in a video store.
I agree with you. I think she should be working with us. Undercover, of course.
It's like, okay, what about the phone numbers? Because like all movies in phones are 555 something else, and 555 is like the thing movies made up.
Yeah.
So that is not a real person's phone number. How many people do you think live in LA? It's like, like 8 million. How can like they all have 555 as the first part of their phone number? It's like area codes. Or like a cartoon cat turns up. It's like, look, a cartoon cat just came into work. It's like, yeah, and he'll do it tomorrow. It's so good.
Oh, that's such a good. The thing is, though, what's it got to do with space?
So the advertising might actually be part of the reason why the movie bombed. And I'm using the word bombed very selectively here because initially the plan was like they spent a lot of money advertising Last Action Hero, but almost none of it really went anywhere because one of the first things they did is get a giant inflatable Arnold Schwarzenegger holding a stick of dynamite. You go to that scene in the film, he's got the dynamite.
Yeah.
And they were going to fly that around. But I think it was the Oklahoma bombings happened around that time. And like, we can't have Arnold Schwarzenegger. Ooh,
Jesus.
that's Nisha. We can't have a giant inflatable Arnold Schwarzenegger floating around the city with some dynamite after a bombing.
Yeah.
So they had to scrap a bunch of marketing. So they were scrambling, what should we do? What should we do? And there was like, well, there's a rocket going into space next week. Maybe we can put some advertising marquee on that. And they're like, brilliant, let's do that. But rather than put Last Action Hero on the rockets in space, they just put Arnold Schwarzenegger's name. And there's a really great interview with an advertising executive after this where they were asked, so, what are your thoughts on the Schwarzenegger rocket stunt? Do you think that'll be the future of advertising? And they just really matter-of-factly go, no. So why not? It's like, what's the point of advertising that you can't see?
Some aliens got to see that.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's it. They sent it to space. You can't see. It's like, what's the point? And they spent $500,000 doing this. And I just think
that is too much money.
that's just so funny to me that like a decade earlier, Arnold Schwarzenegger is being told by Luke Skywalker, they will never put your name on a poster. Change your name. 10 years later, they're paying $500,000 to send that shit to space. So Nisha's just arrived and she just sat very, very quietly in the corner because she doesn't want to talk about Arnold Schwarzenegger action movies. So Brad, favourite Arnold Schwarzenegger action movie? That is not very good.
Sixth Day.
Oh, I was going to say Sixth Day. So the thing is though, again, Sixth Day is so good to me,
Yeah.
but I know it's not very good.
No, I love Sixth Day because I watched it when I was fairly young. It was a VHS tape at my stepdad's parents' house.
Yes.
So it just got put on.
Was that a thing that went around a while ago, isn't there, of one of the shames of the streaming age, the ability to basically just pick whatever you want to watch whenever you like, is that kids growing up today don't have that formative experience of just there's a random movie that was on TV a lot, or you had a VHS or DVD copy of that you become obsessed with. That's not very good, but eventually forms part of your personality. And like for me, I watched so many crappy Arnold Schwarzenegger action movies, like Sixth Day, or my other one, Eraser.
Oh, I think I watched Eraser once when we did it and mentioned it in the
it's so
video.
good.
But I don't think I've seen...
Because that's the one where the whole gimmick is that Arnold Schwarzenegger plays a guy who deletes people. It's like, oh, this person needs to disappear. Arnold Schwarzenegger, you got to go in and make it like they died. And his catchphrase is, you've been erased. And they have a bit where it's like...
Let me guess. He has to erase a fit woman and doesn't want to do it.
No.
Because like that's the transporter that happens in, and
You know, the transport owes so much to Eraser, but it has one of my favourite bad Arnold Schwarzenegger one-liners, which is when he's fighting a CGI crocodile, he shoots it in the face and says, your luggage. And it's like, oh!
you didn't do it in the voice. I had to.
Okay, your luggage.
Your luggage.
What's your favourite bad quote from like Sixth Day then?
Oh, isn't that the bit at the end where the guy, the villain, has cloned himself?
Yeah.
And his body lands on his other body.
Yeah.
And Arnold Schwarzenegger says something like, go and fuck yourself, or something along those lines.
So you should have cloned yourself earlier so you could go and fuck yourself.
That's the one.
When I say you should screw yourself, I didn't mean for you to take it literally.
This idea you had about when you said about the VHS tapes, I experienced that recently because I was at my grand's house a couple of weeks back. She's got all those old VHS tapes on a shelf.
Yeah.
I'm looking down and I'm like, oh my god, Alaska, the film with the polar bear, used to love it. Like Balto, the animated film with the die. And
It's why I'm a big proponent of watching bad movies. Like we had like a thing on the side channel about watching bad movies because it's a concept I've heard referred to as the Disneyfication of entertainment, where because people are only used to watching like Disney movies, which generally have pretty high quality. Like when people say, "Oh, I don't like Last Jedi," or whatever, like compare Last Jedi to any movie not funded by fucking Disney.
if you had to watch a bunch of like one-star films, like amateur films, or watch The Last Jedi, I'm guessing you pick The Last Jedi.
And the point is that because you're watching so many movies that are of like very good, passable quality, your like view of what is average or bad in the case of some things is completely skewed because you've never had to watch shit like Eraser or Last Action Hero. You've never watched those 5, 6 out of 10s.
Running Man.
Yeah, that's when you've never had to watch.
Great film.
Yeah, but let's say it's a great film because you can appreciate the camp, and you probably see that having younger people or people who are terminally online lack the ability to appreciate the 5 or 6 out of 10.
Yeah, I know a lot of people who they'll say like, I'm not going to watch this film because
It's
either reviews say it's bad or all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I think we've been spoiled by these massive budget films, and to just assume that anything less than that is worse, or that they're like the standard.
Yeah, it's there.
What you're saying, but
it's the Dunning-Kruger effect, isn't it? Of like they assume that's the average when it's not. But speaking of that's average, like we've got a Patreon. If you'd like to continue watching this extremely mid content, you can help support us by following us on Patreon.
I love that this is probably the most professional Fat Fiend has ever looked.
Yeah, but I'd still say it's still pretty. And that's another thing as well. People are so used to just this extraordinary level of quality from the upper echelon of YouTube. Like people see people like you Mr. Beast and stuff like that, and then because that's to them that's pop culture. That's what YouTube content should look like, they get surprised when they see content that doesn't have the production value of that, or people who don't look like that.
Well, Mr. Beast is basically making like essentially television shows, budgets worth stuff now.
Yeah.
It's just going onto a platform that isn't that.
In his company terms. Yeah.
Fat Fiend's always going to be better because there's a Wiglet in it.
There is? Oh, I forgot about Wiglet. Yeah, let's go. So yeah, if you want to keep us like, deep in Wiglets and beers, you can do so by supporting us on Patreon. Don't we get like a boat? Is it a thing that people get now? I thought you wanted to talk about the thing we get.
Oh, yeah.
We've literally done a video about advertising. And I was like, what a perfect segue to talk about advertising our Patreon. And Brad's like, what are you talking about?
What is this thing you speak of? Now, we wanted to do this thing where, because people love Fat Fiend Focuses,
yes,
but it's not something we've really got a huge amount of time to do.
I even mentioned a Fat Fiend Focus, yeah. Thought you'd jump in.
When did you mention
the focus about bad movies we think are good?
You did, yeah. Oh, it's almost like he was prepping me all this way, and I was just sat here drinking my...
I was going to get further and further.
Desi D.
Desi D. Get further behind my screen from embarrassment.
Yeah, we're going to bring back the Fat Fiend Focuses, and we're going to allow certain tiers of patrons to vote from a selection that we've... Like, we're all going to submit an idea.
Yes.
You can vote what we talk about, and then we're going to use that particular video to thank our patrons.
Yes. So what we're going to do is, like, each member of the channel, myself, Brad, Nisha, and Lucas, are going to submit once per month onto our Patreon the topic for a Fat Fiend Focus, and we're going to have an hour-long discussion about whatever that topic is, and our fans over on Patreon can decide which one they think we should discuss.